A tennis star's door is visited by the FBI. Steroid accusations spreading like wildfire throughout social media. Eala, among the most talented young women's tennis, currently dealing with the most dire situation of her professional life. No one anticipated this. A regular drug test, a document that was leaked, and all of a sudden, everyone is observing of the life of a 19-year-old in real time. It's no longer simply about tennis. This has to do with honesty, reputation, and survival. Eala wasn't meant to be present. Manila-born and brought up between Spain and the Philippines, she disobeyed all the odds were against her. While the majority of children her age were learning, Eala was pounding on clay courts at school. Training at the Rafa Nadal Tennis Center in Europe. Grand Slams are the Academy's dream. By 16, she had already created history by turning into the first Grand Slam winner to be a Filipina when she won the US Open in 2022. Championship for girls singles. The Philippines exploded. She wasn't merely a player of tennis. She represented hope, evidence that Southeast Asian dreams might take over the globe. Her ascent through the ranks of the profession was stunning but methodical. She broke WTA's top 200 prior to her 19th birthday. Sponsors have lined up. Yonks, Nike, big corporations recognized her as the world saw a star of the future. The game she played was forceful and unafraid. She engaged in play with the type of hunger that distinguished right from wrong players from the best. Coaches gave compliments. Her diligence. Her opponents held her in high regard. Grit. Her humility was loved by her fans. She consistently sidestepped compliments in interviews. Returning to her squad, her family, and her nation. She bore the burden of she must meet the aspirations of the country. And never voiced any complaints. However, the world is cruel. It devours prodigies. And expels them every day. Wounds, burnout and pressure. Eala was aware of this. She worked out more. She maintained her discipline. She stayed away from the party scene, the temptations that caused many young people to athletes. Her social media accounts were spotless. Training videos, inspirational posts, appreciation for her backers. She appeared to untouchable, the type of parents who are athletes indicated and remarked, "Be like her." Then everything fell apart. Early on 2026, rumors began to circulate in circles for tennis. Nothing specific, just whisper. A few musicians were playing. Too quickly and too well. The International Tennis Integrity Agency increased the number of random drug tests. Like many up-and-coming stars, Eala was put to the test. Often. She didn't flinch. Each and every the test result was clear. Her group was clear. Her dietitian provided documentation of each and every supplement. Her physical therapist kept thorough records. They carried out everything according to the text. However, the book is irrelevant when the public court opinion becomes engaged. February 3, 2026, a Twitter account that is anonymous and has having a generic profile with no followers image shared a screen grab. It asserted to be a recent drugs lab report test that Eala underwent. The paper identified a number of prohibited drugs, steroids, anabolic performance-enhancing substances, substances that would put a stop to a career. The tagged account prominent sports writers, tennis gossip pages, and insiders. Within 20 minutes, someone had retweeted the post 5,000 times. An hour later, it was everywhere. And everyone's question began asking was easy. Could the Philippine tennis's golden girl be unfaithful? The speed of the internet is faster than reality. When Eala finally awoke in her training facility in Florida, that her name was already buzzing in the morning. Worldwide. Hashtag La Steroid Scandal. Hashtag Tennis Cheat. Hundreds of thousands of tweets about hashtag fake hero of shrewd sports analysts who had never saw her perform, but all of a sudden had strong views regarding her personality. The screenshot was blurry and difficult to read. However, that was irrelevant. It appeared sufficiently official. Additionally, in 2026, looking it only needs to be official. Her mobile blew up. Messages from her relatives in Manila, bewildered and in a panic. Calls from her coach, attorney, and agency. The same question is being asked by everyone. Is this actual? Eala was unable to respond since she was unaware. Nobody had gotten in touch with her. By any anti-doping organization, No formal alert, no hearing, but a chance publish from an anonymous account. And now her life was in flames. Her group jumbled. Her spokesperson created a declaration refuting the accusations. Her lawyer got in touch with the WTA and the International Tennis Integrity Agency requesting clarifications, but official social media and procedures take time. Doesn't hold out. The story was already penned, culpable until exonerated. That's the way it is now. Tennis discussion boards glowed with conjecture. A few admirers vehemently defended her, pointing to her impeccable record, her personality, and her openness. Others joined in. I was aware she was too skilled too quickly. One remark read, "No one becomes a junior champion too naturally in the top 200. Another, "The finest has been training her. You believe they're not providing her with all of it?" The charges were harsh, they spread like poison, yet they have no basis. It caught on with the mainstream media. ESPN aired Rising Tennis Star Faces is one of the segments. Accusations of doping. The headline didn't say unconfirmed or alleged. It was declared to be true. CNN brought it up. At a sporting event, Philippine news outlets exploded. The narrative, it wasn't only sports news back home. It was a crisis on a national level. Eala had been a source of pride. She was now the source of shame. Former politicians who had posed remained quiet while with her for pictures. Companies that had unexpectedly courted her turned dark. Her Instagram remarks turned into a conflict area. Encouraging messages vanished out of hatred. "Fraudster, cheater, you allowed us to down." She didn't reply or publish anything. Silence was urged by her team until they had clarity. However, in the era of virality is seen as a sign of guilt. And then, 3 days following the original leak, something much more startling took place. Early on February 6th, Eala was at her Boca Raton rental house, getting ready for a workout. Her in an hour, the coach was supposed to arrive. She was scrolling through while drinking coffee. Texts from her relatives, attempting to remain grounded. Then she heard someone knocking. Loud, commanding, the type of knock that makes your stomach turn. She parted the entrance to FBI, federal agents, badges, grave expressions. They were in possession of a warrant. They were there to conduct a property search as a component of a continuing inquiry into distribution of drugs that improve performance networks purportedly associated with multiple athletes. Someone had mentioned her name. The leaked document, even though it unconfirmed, had set off a bigger investigate. Some neighbors recorded while others watched. Their mobile phones. Minutes later, video of when FBI officers entered Eala's house. There was on the internet. The headlines were self-explanatory. Tennis star raided by FBI for steroid use investigate. The reality that this was a more thorough study was irrelevant. The fact that Eala was not charged, it didn't matter with anything. The picture was disastrous. Career-related optics final. And suddenly there was a leak. Turned into a raid. One rumor turned into a federal instance. And the future of a 19-year-old hung by a thread. 4 hours were spent on the raid. Federal officers went through each and every the house's corner. Bedrooms, the garage, kitchen cupboards, and bathrooms. They confiscated documents, phones, laptops, even her workout notebooks and vitamins. She sat with Eala in the living room. Attorney, observing her personal life become examined by outsiders. She wasn't taken into custody. Even so, she wasn't officially accused, but the harm had already been done. Completed. The situation outside was tumultuous. Across the street, news vans were parked. On the grass, reporters set up camp. The neighbors conducted interviews with anyone who has a microphone. "She appeared to be a really pleasant girl," one said. "I never would have speculated." Another, "You never know for sure. Do you, people?" The assumption of there was no longer any innocence in the court of public perception. The raid served as evidence. Sufficient. Her attorney attempted to manage the story. He issued a statement. In a matter of hours, Eala is completely assisting the authorities. She has never intentionally used or owned any prohibited materials. This inquiry is a larger probes component and does not indicate that she did something wrong. We are assured that she will be exonerated of any accusations. The assertion was measured, expert, and it was disregarded. The raid was featured in the headlines, not the explanation. Social media evolved into a feeding frenzy. Twitter was overrun with memes. Pictures of Eala in prison that have been photoshopped uniforms. Jokes on the pride of the Philippines become a disgrace to the Philippines. The level of cruelty was astounding. A portion of her other players remained quiet and strategic. Distance in order to safeguard their own brands. A few people raised their voices. One former partner in doubles, "I've known Alex for years," I tweeted. "She's among the most truthful individuals I've ever met. Never encountered. Let's wait for information before ruining someone." It received 12,000 likes. The hateful posts received hundreds of thousands. Returning to the Philippines, there was a mixed reception. A few admirers watched her. Until proven guilty, they are innocent. Demanded. Others, however, felt deceived. She served as their hero and their representation on the international scene. If the accusations were accurate, she would have it would ruin everything if someone cheated. It was a matter of national pride. Politicians who previously praised her achievements now separated from one another. Sports officials urged people to be patient and due process while secretly fretting regarding the consequences. In the meanwhile, initially an anonymous Twitter account everything was gone, erased, and no trace. Investigators attempted to locate the IP address, however, it was routed using many VPN servers located throughout many nations. Whoever disclosed that document was aware of their actions. They desired pandemonium, and they succeeded. The sponsors responded quickly. Nike released ambiguous declaration regarding the observation of the circumstance. She was dragged by eunuchs from a future advertising campaign. Diminished deals for endorsements quietly fell through. Morality provisions are seen in contracts. Even they may be triggered by unsubstantiated claims. Her earnings, which had been consistently rising, fell overnight. The financial strain made the psychological cost. Her family arrived via plane from Manila. Her dad, mom, and younger siblings showed up to the house still inundated with media. They remained silent. 2 journalists. They simply detained her because what more were they able to do? Their daughter, their sister was on a cross. Internet, and there was no obvious way to salvation. Not quite yet. Meanwhile, the FBI held their tongue. They attested to the assault, but provided no information regarding what they discovered or were searching. Typical practice in active inquiries. However, the quiet just encouraged further conjecture. If they wouldn't they say they discovered nothing? If wouldn't this be resolved because she was innocent? Already. That's the reasoning, folks. Applied, and she was being destroyed by it. What no one yet knew if that was the true story. Was much more intricate than anyone envisioned. The tennis community broke up. In the center. On the one hand, people who thought the anti-doping system organizations, testing procedures, and because procedure. Conversely, those who trusted the internet. Screenshots, raids, and online indignation. Eala discovered who she was. In the midst of a cultural conflict, she never requested a fight. Former athletes considered. She was defended by some. Martina Navratilova posted on Twitter, "Let's not spoil the life of a young woman based on an unconfirmed leak. We've observed fake charges beforehand. Let the procedure take its course." Chris Evercht echoed the sentiment. Eala is entitled to justice. Social trials, the media can be harmful. However, some were less altruistic. One player that is retiring addressing a sports blog anonymously stated, "Where smoke is present, there's fire." The FBI does not arrive for no reason. Rationale. Supporters were even more critical. On the internet forums that discussed every facet of her profession. Her quick ascent, her physical transition from a junior to a professional, her endurance during lengthy games, everything was re-examined using the framework of suspicion. Titled YouTube videos like Eala, indications that we all overlooked, millions of views were obtained. Plot theories were thriving. She was claimed by some. Coaches were a component of an underground network doping. Others proposed that the leaked document was only the beginning. Iceberg. Eala remained quiet in public, however. People close to her spoke of a young woman who was about to die. She was unable to train, couldn't sleep or concentrate. The psychological effects of being demonized worldwide was heartbreaking. Her psychologist came to see her every day. Her relatives were all around her, but the darkness persisted. Each and every when she shut her eyes, she noticed the headlines. Each time she looked at her, more death threats on the phone. Her lawyers launched an assault. A crisis management company was hired. They publicly called for the WTA and ITA. Verify that Eala had never had any official drug examination. Both groups unwillingly obeyed. A united declaration was made public. Alex Eala has undergone testing several times during her career and has never given back a negative analytical discovering. It ought to have been a pivotal moment. Point. No, it wasn't. It was rejected by critics as a cover for bureaucracy. Merely because she has not been apprehended does not imply that she is clean, according to one commenter on a podcast. Then there was a little pause, but important. An expert in cybersecurity examining the paper that was leaked and found something. The concealed information, the metadata of the file contains digital data contained within it. Didn't align with the official anti-doping organization procedures. The typeface was incorrect. The letterhead was a little strange. The laboratory code did not match any recognized testing center. It was a fake. A convincing one, but it's still a fake. Eala's group seized the opportunity. They had a press conference. Her attorney came up with the results. This document is dishonest. It was made up using the desire to ruin Alex Eala's reputation. We are taking legal action against the guilty. The proof very sturdy. Experts in forensics verified it. The record that had provoked the worldwide controversy was untrue. You would think that would put a stop to it. It didn't, since by the tale was no longer about the truth. No longer. It had to do with story. Additionally, the story had become its own thing. Cybersecurity was questioned by skeptics. Credentials of specialists. Others proposed it was a cover-up forgery. Naturally, they would call it phony. That's what's wrong. Individuals do. One tweet that went viral said that the FBI's inquiry went on, conducted several interviews with Eala, looked over the confiscated materials, pursued leads that led her to a larger network of trainers and coaches suspected, but nothing was discovered connecting her to any unlawful action. Prohibited items in her house, no communications that are incriminating, no financial exchanges with recognized supplies. She was hygienic. However, the Bureau was not allowed to say that in public. Not yet. Not while the more extensive inquiry was still going on. Eala thus stayed in limbo. Innocent in theory, practically demolished. Then someone arrived. Forward, an individual who was aware of the reality, and everything was different. Victor was his name. Dolman, an ex-coach who had previously briefly spent 2 years before with Eala before splitting apart because of philosophical distinctions. He made contact with her legal group, having a narrative. He possessed knowledge regarding the paper that was leaked. He was aware of who made it. More significantly, he understood the reason. 4 months, Dolman had been contacted before by a sports agent working for a rival participant, an individual vying for the same age range and position as Eala. The agent was direct. Eala was rising very quickly. She was taking chances, endorsements, wildcards, media coverage that may have been directed to his customer. He desired that she slow down. Just enough to produce, but not forever doubt. Enough to cause hesitation in brands. Sufficient to prevent her from turning into indestructible. The agent was well connected. A graphic artist with expertise in falsified records, a hacker capable of make social media profiles for burners, a publicist with story seeding skills in order to increase viral dissemination. Collectively, they prepared the fictitious lab report. They were on time. The league for the greatest possible impact, correct? Prior to a significant competition, Eala was preferred to perform well in. They then took a seat back and observed the mayhem. Although Dolman had declined to take part, neither had he reported it. The guilt had been consuming him for some weeks. When he saw the news about the FBI raid, he couldn't keep quiet any longer. He arrived forward chats, screenshots, payment receipts, email exchanges, everything. The evidence was given by Eala's legal team to federal detectives. In a matter of days, they made arrests. The sports representative, the graphic designer, 2 further participants in the plot. The accusations include fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud and defamation, cybercrime, and fraud. The situation was airtight. The news was explosive. Corrections were published by major sources. The FBI, an inexplicable phony doping arrest was fabricated. Scandal. The story was reversed. Throughout the night, the antagonist turned into the victim. The one who was wronged was the cheater. The public's attitude changed. Sorry poured in. Some sincere, the majority performative. The athletes who remained silent now left encouraging comments. Sponsors who had discreetly deserted her contacted to talk about the future chances. The WTA issued a declaration denouncing the malevolent assault on Eala and making a more robust safeguards for gamers against fraudulent charges. The Philippine government apologized formally for having doubts about one independently. The president stated her in a speech discussing fortitude and unfairness. At last Eala said something. She uploaded a video. On Instagram. No script, no makeup, simply raw feeling. I'd like to thank everyone who supported me when I thought the world was against me, she remarked. She spoke steadily yet passionately. Additionally, I would want to state that I comprehend why some were skeptical. The falsehoods were convincing. But hopefully this serves as a lesson for everyone regarding the influence of words, the risk of making assumptions, as well as the significance of the truth. The footage went this time, it went viral for the right reasons. Thousands of comments and millions of views providing assistance. The tide had shifted. However, the harm was irreparable. Her career had been stolen for months. The rankings had dropped. Confidence had been broken. Connections with a few sponsors couldn't be saved. She had been vindicated, but she had also been altered. The purity, the unwavering conviction that diligence and the integrity that was sufficient has been taken away. Justice was done. However, will she ever be able to regain what was taken from her? The Alex Eala controversy revealed the unsightly junction of social media and sports media and the mindset of the mob. It brought to mind that each viral headline has an actual person, a dreamer, a breaking point, and family. Eala survived, albeit not all do, and that ought to frighten us. As she goes on, one question remains about her travels. In a world that is fixated on destroying others, can we learn to hold off on knowing the truth prior to gathering stones? If this narrative, when you opened your eyes, click subscribe button because it doesn't reveal the truth going viral.